Wednesday, August 19th, 8:03 p.m. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Twink. We keeping it gay bear over here, checking back in on the markets. So, first, again, checking in our trades and just what we've been talking about, our conviction over at CF with the ongoing turmoil in the Middle East in the United States government. But just a little bit on trading, just a little bit on the talking points. Didn't watch a bunch of CNBC today, but we had some big science/stock appreciation in Moderna and Merck for a skin cancer trial. We have Buzz Lightyear Ed Yardeni out here coining more terms like bond vigilantes. I don't know if we'll talk much about bonds. Again, I don't see too much there. Again, with rates and just, I still don't get what people are saying when it's like, hey, the 10-year or the 30-year goes this way after we change the rates, and it's the opposite way if we change the rates. It's like, if I give you a loan and then I set the interest rates, it's like, how does it change in the other way? Again, our wonderful hosts on CNBC do not do a good job of articulating a lot of things. But Ed Yardeni's out here coining more terms like bond vigilantes. And then we have a little commentary on the meta trials as the damage is getting close to $1.4 trillion because people don't know how to behave. And so first, with our trade over here at CF, like we said, haven't been doing very good on the timing. Each time we've been in and out, we have been profitable. But just the overall price points and the timing has been kind of sloppy. Or not, I want to say sloppy, just whipsawing back and forth, as we've said in the previous episodes. But wanted to point out from a technical perspective, I do think I was wrong. Kind of closed down good today or in our favor. But just from a technical perspective, right here was where we're saying we wouldn't be surprised to see a big red candle. This technically is kind of getting into what people would call a bearish engulfing candle. Sometimes people say the whole wick structure, right? Again, this is where yesterday, where my cursor is at, this is where the stock opens, this is where it closed. Today, this is where it opens, and this is where it closed. And so, right, it traded through the entire range of yesterday. And so that's what people call engulfing, bearish meaning to the downside. There's some technical significance sometime. Again, the overall verbiage from technical analysis, you hear it, you reference it, but it's just like, it's all kind of trailing indication. Regardless, specific to what we were calling, again, not just saying, hey, I think this is going to go down sometimes, specific to actual decision-making points. It was right here, this day, I can't see because of my face, 8/17, so 2 days ago, Monday, when we were saying, hey, we kind of expecting a big red candle. Again, from a technical perspective, we're below this adaptive moving average. We're kind of flagging to the lower end, kind of expecting a big sell-off. So I wanted to be specific. We did not get that as an actual decision-making point, technical point. The appreciation into yesterday and into today certainly felt like, again, we ended up selling off later into the day, but it definitely felt like a wrong call on the actual, again, hey, we're at this tension point, hey, we're at this pressure point, hey, we're at this pivot point for economics or for trading, and we did break to the upside a little more than I expected. So I wanted to point that out. I would have considered that, again, technically wrong. Now, throughout the day, I did add I think 10 or 15 shares. I think last time we were only at 20. And so we were able to add into, I think, the 2250 range and the 2123 range. And so it brought my price average up. And so, again, it says $52 profit, but we do have this $12 from our 20 share short position through the dividend. So whatever we have profit less $12 is where true break even's at. So again, we're into the profit here, expecting selling off. Any sort of headline, as we've always been saying for this trade, will certainly send this lower. From a technical perspective, the sell-off into the end of the day with kind of this slam down close. I want to call it a slam down, again, trying to be particular with the language, but certainly, again, the last kind of volume pressure of the day. Don't put much credence one way or the other, but it was to the downside today. So overall profitable, again, up about $40 total right now. It doesn't really count until you realize it. But expecting some more downward. I'm thinking this will be a good kind of setup. If we have any sort of headlines, we'll probably go back the other way. So we did have, that's really all for CF right now. Heading on over into the world of crypto. Again, Gemmies are kind of our small exposure. We don't really have much exposure anymore to crypto. Again, cryptocurrency is not a meaningful differentiation from just currency, and the overall currency development is a much broader economic thing than just the United States stock market. But regardless, Bitcoin did have a noticeable strength this afternoon into tonight. Again, it's 8:09 right now. Along with Ethereum and just the overall crypto environment. So we're seeing a little bit of pressure, or a little bit of upward pressure for Gemmy. So it is profitable right now at this 414. Again, super small position, but just documenting this because crypto is going to come back in a big way, and people are like, I don't know what's happening. But as always, our rights are violated in a way where we can't meaningfully trade or manage our portfolio that we have, and our life quality is 0, and I'm 0% kidding, and it's just like I have no idea what to do, and there's nobody that cares about the law. So I just keep working, trying to focus on, again, quality content over just, again, law citations every single video, but that is the most relevant thing to my day every single day with no expectation that it could ever change. So just super small position over here, but from an overall trading perspective, this is really kind of the area that I like, or the type of trade for the long side that I think that makes most sense. An industry that's beaten down or is not in the limelight of the cycling. You have a strong expectation that it's going to come back. And then again, this is kind of like the range, like this $3 to $4, right? We were looking at the DFTX, used to be NMMD. And it's like you get even if you have like the slightest kind of change in the overall sector, not even just the specific of this stock, you typically get a couple 100% return, right? And then if you get real momentum in the sector or something stock specific, you have much more appreciation potential. And so things that are really beaten down in sectors that I don't think are going away in any way, shape, or form, those are always, definitely of interest for the long positions, which you have the most potential to make the most money. It's just, as always, we think once something starts moving, the most predictable thing is to fade any sort of momentum. But regardless, some exposure over to Gemini. There was noticeability or something notable after kind of market closed. Just some strength in the overall crypto space. Again, currency is currency. Cryptocurrency is not a meaningful difference. But this is going to come back in a big way. Again, systems tend to optimal efficiency. Nobody's currency system is backed by any physical good, nor should it be. And we're just very kind of novel or young, truly, in the global economic development, which things will get more predictable, things will get more stable, and even in relation to today, which is relatively stable for most major developed markets. The biggest thing, as we've said a bunch, is just the natural kind of disasters, the environments, the hurricanes, the earthquakes, just the natural geography. That certainly is never going to be like resolved. But again, policy attenuation or congruence to actual demand. I mean, that's just, people just don't behave in a way that makes any sense. Regardless, that is what's going on over here in Gemmy and crypto world. DFTX, again, still kind of trending back towards the 46. So up off the lows above this adaptive moving average. Again, we talked a little bit about this second trial or second result that caused a brief kind of appreciation and stayed range bound. Now we're kind of drifting back up, hoping for more continued good news. And so anything else, Joby's still pretty much sideways. SanDisk, the memory trade we've been following for almost a year now. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah, again, kind of retraced since the last time we updated it a little bit. Again, nothing new over here. Again, software, kind of, it's just like, I still don't see, again, obviously we got burned a little bit on Snowflake and on Datadog, definitely our two biggest losses of the year, and SanDisk as well. But again, I just don't see any strong differentiators, and it's just like, this type of range, not super interesting. It's like, I don't think this is going to go to 0 tomorrow or big depreciation, but any time where it's just like, hey, again, you've had some sort of momentum, short-term trend in relation to medium-term trend. Throw on a short position because why not? And then if it starts to a trend in your favor, great. If not, you put some sort of tight stop loss. But just sectors where I don't see a bunch of differentiation or meaningful differentiation from one company to the next. How proprietary can you be? So on and so forth. Software, as we've said a bunch, but no position, no real intention to take a position. But something I'm still watching, still kind of following. Another thing we kind of looked at and talked about for long positions is Netflix. No real opinion here, kind of bounced off this 65, but just, again, emphasizing the overall consumer experience, demand story over here is going to be strong and definitely into the future with a ton of improvement to be made in the overall not user interface, but user experience of just different streaming services, all of these different shows kind of sequestered to different places. We used to have bundling, now we don't have bundling, now we're back to bundling, now Netflix shares passwords, now we can't share passwords. Once kind of like the overall optimal business model over here, I think there'll be either consolidation again amongst the consumer media space or whatever you want to call it. I definitely, again, still think there'll be tremendous upside, specifically to Netflix kind of being the, is bellwether appropriate here? I mean, not really like not the first to move in a direction, but just Netflix is Netflix. And then you kind of have other streaming services, all right? And so it came kind of the same way you have Kleenex, and it's just a brand of tissue, but it's got enough market share. It's the first mover. It's something where it's got big branding power. So those are kind of the stocks and securities we've been following and talking about. And so moving on to our talking points. And so Moderna, we had big news out of here, definitely worth talking about. This is one of these things comes on the radar. If we're trading in any sort of way to try to like make money or just say what's moving for the day, this definitely would have been front and center. And so big news, we have a skin cancer trial. We have this result with customization for late-stage melanoma or some sort of melanoma of customization with mRNA and some sort of positive result. And so, again, mRNA vaccines or mRNA, whatever words, it's not something novel or unique. We went through that through the whole COVID time. Again, I can't emphasize enough to the entire regulatory structure, the FDA, the DEA, the academic structure, all of the practitioners. I'm still waiting. There's everybody, every thought you could have in a logical form articulated sitting on the internet. We are on round 3. So I'm still waiting for these things that are proven and that you guys don't understand are proven. And it is my constitutional right to publish that and to monetize that. I'm really wondering where we're going to go with the legalization of cannabis and the decriminalization and the legalization of quote-unquote tryptamines or psychedelics. Ooh, ah. And again, more just continue to the FDA. Articulate to me the process of cellular regeneration. I really want to hear your overarching and comprehensive understanding of metabolism. I'm really waiting for it because, again, these are complete solved things. And you guys are not behaving in a way that's legal, and you are not behaving in a way that's scientific. Regardless to Moderna, there is nothing novel or unique as we went through with COVID in terms of mRNA being something tremendously different. You introduce some amount of compound to a system, the system reacts, and then there was this big hoopla on mRNA as if it's going to recode your cells, and it's just not. In reality, we have a sociological phenomenon of people not being they don't want to be told what to do. They're little kids, and when they get told it's past their bedtime, it's wham, wham, wham. And then we can just say, oh, well, the science is undecided. But luckily for you guys, you live at the time of the most poignant scientific discovery in history. You're just on the wrong side of it. But it doesn't make 1 + 1 not equal 2. It doesn't equal, hey, dark energy, dark matter, and this overall career driving behavior structure of academia and all of the hard-working people that are competing over nothing. That didn't not affect doctors, which is, again, one of the most arrogant and least scientifically rigorous professions that have ever existed. Right? It's like all of the pre-med kids couldn't pass a math class. All of the math kids are over there watching Rick and Morty thinking they're like smart. And we just have this cluster F of nothing. It's just really what it is. We're at the point where I'm not trying to, when I try to articulate something to people with reason, it's because learning is an individual process. But we're at a point where I'm the adult in the room. I'm the grown man. I'm the one that knows how to behave. Here is your law. You're violating it. There's nothing else to say. I'm done trying to reason with you. No, absolutely not. You guys are directly violating the law and causing death and destruction globally. And I'm still waiting for, again, the global academic medical environment. Give me your best. I'm waiting for your best. And you still can't articulate logic that is literally already proven on the internet. All you can do is just blurt out no around a bunch of other people blurting out no, and stigma and propaganda because you guys are idiots. But for Moderna, again, there's nothing novel with the mRNA. The overall, again, skin cancer trial, what people will tout and spread as like miracle cures is like, again, when is cannabis going to be legalized? It's like, again, I'm not asking. I'm done trying to reason with you at all. It is just illegal not to. It's proven. Writings and discovery, it is a proven discovery. Pursuant to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, you guys just can't read. And genuine scientific denial is like accepted as like rigorous. It's like, I'm not convinced. I'm a doctor. I'm a head of surgery. And it's like, you guys are just career-chasing idiots, man. Truly. Done trying to reason with you people in any way, shape, or form, and obviously you don't listen. But in terms of this, again, this is overall kind of, we had another oncology result that we've talked about in this series where it's like they extend lifespan for like 3 to 6 months, which is not even a meaningful like extension of like life. It just isn't. Certainly not in like a statistically significant way to say, hey, this person with stage 4 X cancer lived for 3 months longer and this person lived for 2 months longer. It's just like a whole slew of different biological compounding factors could have extended that person's life for these trivial amounts of time. Again, in relation to the overall detriment and progression of these diseases. But again, all of the people that went to medical school and now they have this ego and identity and they're due those $1 million salaries, and then they still don't know what analysis is, provably at the science species level. Again, back to trading. Again, I don't know enough about the specific to the skin cancer trial, but again, there was just nothing more poignant and relevant to oncology than legalization and prescription of cannabis. Again, it is a proven discovery pursuant to the Constitution. But we see a big reaction in the stock, or do we? Right? This is Moderna. Let's zoom out to our 10-year chart. And so obviously this was going massive in the, again, we see the same type of price levels, right? Moderna, this is big through COVID, and this is where we see these massive appreciations. So sure, again, we have this overall, again, this pharmaceutical sector is where you get these big cancer, solves cancer, right? We solve this general dysfunction of metabolism. But hey, we can just put a big title on it, and we can raise a bunch of things. We can go to a seminar, we can go to a fundraiser, we can say we work at the James Cancer Center, and then we just lie, cheat, and steal about all of science. I can't emphasize enough how that is profound. But this isn't even that big of a reaction. It's certainly big for the immediate short term and even like the medium to long term, but just commenting on the overall price appreciation of the history of Moderna. Again, we've been up to 500. And so what makes this go to once... This peaked up around today, or at least after market today. I think right around 200. So 195. So can we say anything meaningful about why is this at 200 now, and why was it at 500 back in COVID? And COVID was, again, a much more global sociological thing of just, hey, everything's changing. We go do a movie review, we kind of like the apocalypse genre, like the genuine way of life is kind of breaking down. And so we see exaggerated... again, can't prove it in terms of cause and effect, but we just see exaggerated emotionality everywhere. And so I think that's what is reflected as in Moderna, where here we have this, again, a substantial, meaningful result, truly, but again, the overall, this person lived for 3 months or 6 months, and then we have people living for cannabis for tens of years. And personally, me, again, like, I can't get into some of the people for privacy issues, put it that way. But it's tremendous. Again, even people that are around cannabis culture and they just don't know like an effective dose. And then we get into the effective dosing, again, of non-toxic molecules that aid metabolism. And it's all around the same type of effective dosing for a lot of things. There's a whole biological section I want to do again. Still well within this. Most things are biologically neutral. But we're at a point in time when people are doing nothing that makes sense at a substantial level. Particularly to cannabis, particularly to tryptamines. And then we have RFK Jr. He's kind of go, we're going to decriminalize the magical mushrooms. And it's just like you guys don't have a meaningful progression of of policy, of how should we approve something. Do we need multi-billion-dollar FDA approvals, again, of all of these people who have no idea what analysis is, to approve something that is 0% toxic, clearly efficient for metabolism, and then just stigma. And then people just like don't realize they're social creatures, and 100% of their behavior is reacting to like stigma. And it's just, you read first grade that people react to propaganda. Personally means like there's no way this is the way the world behaves. And then it's 100% the way the world behaves. And then we get on YouTube, and I turn on Andrew Huberman. He's the X and X professor at Stanford Medicine. And then every bit of his behavior is like, this person is not qualified to make decisions about health, period. He's over there talking about his experience with mushrooms and how he's going through some shit, bro. If you're a grown-ass man or woman and you like try to appeal, because it was just on 60 Minutes, or one of the evening news, and it was like, veterans go on magical mushroom retreat. And it's just like, forget magical, quote unquote, magical mushrooms or any sort of substance. This whole process of like, I'm so broken, I can't heal. I'm so afflicted, I have no idea how to behave, is unacceptable. But people coddle that, and people support that as if it's like a growing process. If you're a 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old person, you don't know how to grow up, the whole teaching reasonable acceptance of your behavior is just saying grow up, and you get like one chance. If not, you fail. And so then we have our professors. Andrew Huberman is like, dude, I was going through some stuff, and it's just like he does all of the wrong things. Like that Andrew Huberman is not fit to be a medical practitioner. He's not fit to be a professor, and he's a leading teacher at Stanford. And every bit of his behavior is just immediately disqualifies him from speaking with any sort of confidence on anything. All of his behavior, actions speak louder than words. He has no understanding of biology, cellular regeneration, from a decision-making standpoint. And again, I've just seen it so much. People like try to say the right words. A lot of times they do. In Andrew Huberman's case, in biological sciences, people don't at all. Like again, at the society level. But then there's these underlying behavioral characteristics where like, this person doesn't know how to make decisions, period. This person doesn't know how to communicate. This person is specifically into, again, biology and even like legality. When you have expert witnesses up there on the stand, that chick right now on the evening news kills her kids. There's 3 young kids, big trial, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And there was just an expert witness up there who was like, hey, I believe she was in psychosis, not a real thing. At no point in life do you just go say, oh, I blacked out. I had no idea. I committed heinous crimes and ended the life of my 3 kids. I had no idea what was going on. And then an expert witness is going to get up on the stand. To me, that's immediate disqualification of all merit. That's expungement of all of your degrees, and anything you've published is just nonsense. You are demonstrating that you, quote unquote, believe in things that don't exist. It's demonstrable delusion. And so, again, I've emphasized that a lot through our legal discourses. Again, a lot of the videos had to be deleted because, again, shout out to Andrew Ross Sorkin and Madison Forsander at Penguin Published Random House. Again, you guys are at 0 yesterday. But it still continues to destroy my property. But in legality, again, just this overall, hey, any sort of psychosis or any sort of like, I am not fit to stand trial. I can't take responsibility for my actions. In the direct context of law, we see several cases and circumstances where we're like, yep, that's acceptable. And to me, nope, 0% chance you are responsible for your actions. But again, it's just this overall Andrew Huberman, these legal trials where it's just these overall decisions and acceptances of behavior at the society level would be immediately disqualifying for any sort of expertise, any sort of professorship, any sort of, hey, you get a badge and say, I know what I'm doing, when you clearly don't. And so that's kind of not, again, the biological topics get pretty big pretty quick because I'm at current times with all of my research, this is one of the things I want to do something more with. But back to Moderna, and so overall price action, again, I see this as, again, the overall price level as certainly a big result. The actual study, again, how long does it do what for this? It's just like, again, the overall practitioner, the overall structure of drug approval, drug administration is fraudulent to the point where here's the Constitution, give me your best, let's put on a big old show and we'll see how incompetent you guys are. It will take 5 seconds. Truly, and it's not like a competition. Biological health is not something we're over here competing with each other over. You guys just genuinely don't know what you're doing. But that is what we got from Moderna to a strictly trading perspective. Frankly, this is one of these things where you have a big company, big appreciation pre-market. This is typically something we're looking to like short to fade. This would not be something we expected to fade. I don't like to make this type of commentary after we're looking at the move, but just any sort of company with real revenue where you have a substantial move up, specifically to the biotech sector, where it's like, hey, literally curing cancer is kind of like this big headline that gets continued momentum. Overall, the price level, again, is not ridiculous in terms of, again, even Moderna's, again, I wouldn't call COVID recent, but in its historical kind of price action, it's not something that's just like crazy out of the world to me. And so always worth a consideration. Again, from an overall momentum, this is on everyone's radar. But if you're trading actively, this is the thing you're going to be seeing today. And so, frankly, I probably would not have played it at all. Again, I wasn't really watching much, but it would just be something that is this big of a company with this much volatility. This would kind of just be, again, back to our time frames, 9:30 to 10:17, whatever it does. If I wanted to trade this or to try to trade this, it would be just the opposite, but with a bias that I would expect this to kind of continue. And again, asterisks, we're clearly looking at it continuing. Or after it had already continued. But this would just emphasizing typically a pre-market appreciation for us in our kind of perspective. Like even like Snowflake, right? That was one like I immediately said, like in real time, this is not something we expect to come down. And that's just because, again, this overall intuitive understanding of where the sector is at and where the overall just sentiment for the market is. So Snowflake was one where we called in real time, where it's like I don't expect this to come down, and certainly not like an immediate egregious fashion, something like CAR was earlier this year, or even something like the memory trade we kind of expected. That's why we took the position back in like the March time frame. And so this was just another sector overall just news result that we'd probably be sitting on the sidelines, because these I don't like to try to play the long side. And if we were to be trading and we did take a position here, it almost would have been certainly like the overall time frame and just take the opposite position. So again, there would have been slight retracement. Again, it would have been right around the 10:17. And so we might have even got stopped out if we were to try to trade this. But just certainly commenting on it, both for the science, which again, the whole pharmaceutical industry, there's the Constitution, there's the law, what you guys up to? Oh, that's right. It's just we don't have any responsibility for our behaviors or actions. We say it every day. It's profoundly true. And so probably wouldn't have traded. We didn't trade it, and I don't like to make that type of commentary in retrospect, but it's pretty accurate. I mean, I'm not over here saying, hey, we're going to make $1 trillion tomorrow. It's just like, this is actually how I approach the market. And it's just, I'm commenting on like my true convictions, the actual position sizing. It is what it is. It's almost like it's the form of all logic. But that is where Moderna's at. Again, we'll be following this, but don't expect a big retracement, and I don't really expect, again, I just don't know. Again, I just one of these, don't really have a big conviction after this move, substantial big move, still, 50% lower than its all-time highs, or more than 50%, or even its recent highs. I think that was all-time highs. That's the commentary I have for Moderna specifically. Merck, nothing specifically. It was up a little bit, but I don't really know where it finished at, and that's on the stock I really pick up too much. Yeah, so substantial move here, but not like Moderna. So that's all the commentary I have there. Again, the bond vigilantes. Again, Buzz Lightyear Ed was back on there coining more terms, and that was the whole talking point. Because I don't even know what they were referencing. Again, I say it a bunch, but when you say the Federal Reserve sets the interest rates, and then we turn on the markets, and the news anchors are like, the interest rates are going up, or the interest rates are going down, and it's the opposite move of what the interest rates, the person who issued the debt has set the interest rate at. I'm just like, you guys aren't explaining that dynamic. Just something about that conversation every single time. I'm just like, I'm sitting here with my notepad and my pen, and just like, I have no idea what you guys are saying. With quite a few things that you guys get to. But again, you guys have to be competent and not criminals, like Andrew Ross Sorkin and Madison Forsander. Can't emphasize that enough. But moving on. Don't know what really the Bond vigilantes is supposed to mean. I'm sure they talked about it, but I haven't been watching CNBC super close. But then the last thing, again, type of this, more of a legal point, but certainly economic as well, is these meta trials. Up to $1.4 trillion in damages because, well, again, all of those addictive features. Again, now back to that super smart science team. You guys all went to Stanford, Harvard, Cambridge, and the University of Oslo. Because I guess, why not, right? Physics, math, biology, chemistry, is that different in Norway? So let's get Oslo in here. Let's get all the smart ones from there. The really smart ones, holy crap. But now I want you guys to define addiction. Come on, guys, let's go around the room and let's have our unique, sufficient differentiation that is completely consistent of addiction. We now have a form of what a definition is, proven. If it isn't consistent, if it isn't right, it can't be. Let's go around the room, guys. What is addiction? Oh, that's right. It's not well defined. What is pain? Let's go around the room. Come on, doctors. Looking at you, Oslo. Okay, how about anxiety? Let's go around the room, everybody. Define anxiety. Define pain. Oh, that's right. They're not well defined because they're not well established scientific differentiations. And so now we're going to prosecute Mark Zuckerberg, which again, we have Jemmy. We keep talking about Jemmy. We know what to do with the Winklevosses. We just scoop that shit up. Oh no, I forgot to email you guys back for 2 weeks. Oop, you guys didn't invent the face boink. I did, I'm Mark. Now I'm committing profound fraud, racketeering, conspiracy. Good job, Zuckerboink. But regardless, he should not have liability for your kids having a disease or a addiction that isn't real. People don't know how to behave. This is a mixture. What is this beta trial? And now, oh my gosh, did you see people genuinely want their kids to have a better life? They are genuinely stupid, meaning the parents. They genuinely don't know how to behave. And now something either genuinely bad happens or just we have to blame somebody for something, right? And now we have lawyers. Oh my gosh, they broke the law. And now, this is for the kids and not for the money grab. This is definitely not a money grab. Definitely not at all in any way, because it's the kids. They're addicted to the heinous devil. The devil is in the scrolling. The devil made me click on cute animal cat videos for 3 hours. He possessed my brain. It was the devil and the devil's lettuce forced me to scroll on Facebook personally for at least 3 hours. Obvious, dry. To me, this is nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense that people can say, hey, yeah, again, this not well-defined thing, addiction, is blamed on Mark Zuckerberg specifically. He was in the Caribbean, or he was on his yacht, and he wouldn't help that boat. His crew wouldn't pull over for the poor, lowly peasants, and he just scooted on by because he was so worried about addicting our kids to scrolling on Instagram. But no, it's just like, have you guys ever been teenagers before? All you want to do is socialize. That's literally all anybody wants to do. And so where do people socialize is on their phones. I don't have kids. I want to have kids. I do not see this big technology monster absorbing the universe. People are going to go to whatever they can socialize on, and that is clearly the technology of our time. And now we're going to sue Facebook because, again, the legal claim is for addictive behavior and addictive features. This is nonsense. This is truly a mix of profound patheticness and money grabs. That is what this is. This is atrocious behavior. Nobody knows how to behave. We see it every day. We comment on it every day, and it is just true. We have one hypocrite looking at another hypocrite saying, look at that hypocrite's hypocrisy. That is just truly where we're at. So I see these trials as absolutely ludicrous. Yeah. So that's what I have for our talking points for today. Not really anything else. This might be its own episode. It might not. You'll see it by the time, again, when I get no views on YouTube and everyone steals my property as always. Again, continuing to emphasize, I'm asking for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. My rights violated so profoundly and directly. My property is destroyed so profoundly and directly. I can't buy food. The big goal, you have to have a goal in life, right? Goal, or logga and alga. All right, that's our big logical linguistic containment for right now. My goal in life is truly to be able to buy food comfortably and regularly. That has never occurred, and I have zero expectation it ever could. I am sitting here waiting to get extorted, and I get extorted every single day. Truly. I could put this money on a little income fund, and I could be like, yeah, Ed Yardeni, we're going to 8,400 on the SPY before the end of the year. I'm with you, brother. 10,000 by the end of the decade. And then I could go hiking. Nobody has to give me 1 penny. Not $1 has to exchange, not one acknowledgement. I go walking, I go out into public every single day. We had a whole science team, super secret security apparatus move in right next door. Seema can throw the snowballs, Adam can walk by with his kids, and now it's just like nobody can do anything. You can't bump into me when I'm at the park and say, hey, Brad, we're not going to extort you, because you're probably going to extort me. I mean, the Department of Revenue from Colorado did. Again, made up. Never made $90,000 short-term trading, and then I just have to go through this huge legal thing, and then you get these legal letters in the mail. It's like, your debt has been resolved. I never had debt. I mean, it's profound fraud for you to guys say, the Department of Revenue, any sort of governmental structure, you made some money and I didn't make any money, and now it's your problem to figure it out. And it's this hilarious thing where, the power of the government is the law. And then you get all of these things. So it's like, if you don't pay the government, it's like the government's breaking my constitutional rights. But nobody cares. Because then there's one group of people to the next group of people. And again, I remember and have it recorded, the actual Department of Revenue people, because again, everyone has ontological shock to my voice and my presence. And they're just like, oh my gosh, we tried to extort you for over $8,000. Why are you not super happy? And again, after you've initiated a legal process, right, then you're the cop in the middle of the park where if I have free speech and I'm allowed, as long as I'm not threatening you, I can say anything, or should be able to, which obviously you can't. But again, it's just there was nobody with any values, there were nobody with any morals, and there was no consistency, and there was no application of law, making life impossible. Demonstrably. I mean, it's not like I haven't been sitting here. I'm going to be 33 in less than a month, and I have so genuinely, all I've done my entire life is, hey, let's get after it. Let's just go do shit, man. It doesn't matter. Let's just go do something. Let's be productive. Let's just do stuff. And the answer is you can't. You can't make friends. You can't get a girlfriend. You can't have a family. You can't have a career. You can't start a business. You can't sell your patented product. You can't run a bar and a restaurant. You can have super secret science team and the security apparatus that the broader law enforcement doesn't even know exists. Move in next door and you can be like, so can I give a little bit of money or out? And the answer is no. You can negotiate the most important truths on a whole planet, and then people still want to act like you exist, and at the same time, they can't open their mouth and not demonstrate proof that is sitting on the internet, and it is your property. The days just go by, nobody cares, my life is a zero. It is a big old goose egg. But that is what we have for tonight, and we'll check back in later.